Welcome to Powerful Stuff. We made it through another week. Hopefully, as you're listening to this, you've been following Powerful Stuff chronologically and you've just set some powerful boundaries, where they're not too porous, they're not too firm, they're just right, like Goldilocks would say. And you've also communicated something powerfully to yourself and then to someone else. So you feel like Bruce Almighty right now, where you're like, I got the power, full stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, guys, I was really thinking about what to do with today's powerful stuff. I'm like, what feels on the heart? What feels on the mind with Meredith? Let's check in. Let's see what the soul is saying outside of all the adaptogens pumping through my veins. And I wanted to come back to this quote. It was really coming to me. So I'm like, hashtag channeling right now. And it's the quote that I like to say, which is, the greater the resistance, the greater the awakening. Bow, bow, bow. Will that sound ever get old? Probably to you guys, but not yet to me. So if you've been with me this long, thank you for sticking with me. So the greater the resistance, the greater the awakening. And I need to remind myself that all the time, which is probably why we're making today's powerful stuff about just that. But it's this idea that when we're having this feeling of like, oh, I want to be doing that thing, but I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? I'm just procrastinating. I just like, why does it feel so hard to do it? Or I keep cognitive dissonance, like sweeping it under the rug and then pretending that it's like not a high priority for me. It usually means that's when we're on the verge of a breakthrough. That's actually when we're right on the other side of an amazing, huge shift happening. And so I wanted to tell you guys a wee little anecdote about what this quote means for me this week. And then we'll go through an experience, as always, together. I'm never going to leave you guys hanging. So the greater the resistance, the greater the awakening. I feel this so deeply. If you guys have heard me talk about my beverage before, I'll just tell you again, because, as that saying goes, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them again. And then a more recent example. Obviously, I'm a leadership coach now, running Powerful Stuff podcast, running my events in Venice and hopefully one day beyond. And, but before that, I was a beverage founder for 4 years, and I kind of had this feeling, having gone to, a school with a lot of high achievers at Harvard and then Oxford, and having taken the road less traveled for 5 or 6 years after Oxford, and then finally finding my footing as a founder. It felt like, oh, this is what a lot of my former classmates are doing. This is an identity that, kind of fits finally in that box, so to speak. And there's elements of my beverage company that I really did love, and the founder's journey that I really did love, but I held on to it so much longer than I should have. It felt like it was pushing a boulder up a hill. And I would wake up with knots in my stomach every morning, dreading getting on these calls with aluminum can suppliers, or doing all these things that I felt like were really draining my joy. And of course, in any job, there's things that we don't always love doing, but the joy that we feel hopefully in the majority of the job far outweighs the little admin stuff we have to do. But I really felt like, I was kind of too afraid to admit to myself and to others that I didn't actually want to be the CEO of this beverage company and this thing that so many other people have had gratefully put in blood, sweat, and tears to help me found. People had invested money in this beverage company, and more and more hurdles kept coming up to be overcome before we were to get to market. And I kept also trying to convince other people that I loved it, right? As the founder and CEO of something, you're not only convincing like potential clients, audience, whoever you're selling to buy the product. You're also like convincing your employees, advisors, everyone, like, this is amazing. I'm full steam ahead, investors, and then yourself for like last but not least. And so if you're not feeling 100% on this thing, convincing other people feels like twice as much effort, right? Because you're like, I'm trying to convince you guys and myself. And so that was kind of the position that I was in, like keeping everyone excited, energized, all these team meetings, all these meetings with our partners. And I kept having this feeling brewing in my stomach, but I was so afraid of what it would mean to let it go, to let this thing that I had grown to consider part of my identity go, that I like kind of kept sweeping it under the rug. And the more I swept it under the rug, the more anxiety I would have, and the more apparent this becomes to others, or this became to others, right? When I'm not being honest with myself and I think, oh, because I haven't admitted it to others, they don't see it. Of course they see it, but they're just not like, a lot of the times they're waiting for you to do the courageous thing and be the leader in your own life. And so it wasn't until, and I've told this story on the pod before, but it wasn't until I was in Colorado visiting my manufacturers. Afterward, I had tickets to Rufus du Sol in the Red Rocks outside of Denver alone. I was there. A bunch of my Venice friends had bailed who were supposed to meet me. And I had like what felt like strep throat. Like my voice was taken away. And I was here listening to Rufus singing Treat You Better. So melodramatic. Being like, Meredith, I just want to treat you better. How do I like get out of this? It felt so daunting, and it felt like I was so far away from my childhood dreams of where I wanted to go. And I just kind of like prayed to the universe in that moment of like, help me find a way out of this, like that I can know my path and know where I'm being directed to, because I don't know how to get myself out of it. But there was so much resistance there, right? And like the more resistance there is, there's a lot of energy there, but it's like your palms being pressed together, remaining or putting you in a complete paralysis and standstill. And so I surrendered that wish to the universe. And the next day I had a call with my advisor, who was also like a mentor of mine, an investor, and probably one of the people I wanted to impress the most, right? Because she had believed in me so much and I wanted to like honor that. And it wasn't really until she was kind of like, Meredith, and I know you've tried to make this work for a long time. Like maybe it is time you threw in the towel. That she actually gave me the permission to close down this beverage company that I wasn't even giving myself. And when she said that, even as hard as it was, in the moment to imagine this identity that I had built, this whole world that I had built coming to an end, it gave me so much permission as well. It gave me permission to like be free, and a reminder that like the people who really care like want to see you free. And who are we fooling, or who are we doing this for, when they just want to see us happy too? So like we don't need to be doing what we think is going to make them happy. Like they want to see us happy. And when we remove that resistance, it clears the space for so much more energy to come in. So with so much more energy to come in, how exciting. I having that permission from my advisor, I made the call. I decided to shut down the company, and I started having one-by-one calls with my advisors, my investors, and every single person was like, we just wanted you to be happy. We believe in you. And like, yes, this sucks and we're sad, but we're like proud of you. And I had learned so much from the process. So much freedom came like internally, emotionally that week, that a few things happened. That was the week I met my partner, Spencer. I was like, you know what? I need to like clear out all this stagnant energy from the last 4 years. I'm going to go on some Hinge dates. And lo and behold, that was the week I met my now husband, Spencer. And like, I also went full time into coaching that week and really dialed up, started hosting more experiences, for my experience company, more of that, which also is now kind of being combined with powerful stuff, which is so exciting and something I'm excited to tell you guys more about very soon. And so, yeah, when I let go of that resistance, I had the biggest awakening, right? Met the love of my life, met myself again. I was going to say met my clients, but meaning like went even deeper into the coaching space. But it was really through this process of allowing my fears, allowing them to bubble up to the surface, allowing myself to be like, why is this resistance coming up? How does this resistance feel? What am I afraid of if I let this resistance go? What could be possible if I let this resistance go? What is on the other side of this resistance? Resisting our stance, resistance. I heard this guy this last week say, manifest station. What station are you tuning your beliefs to? I just loved that. Anyways, back to resistance, which can lead to manifestation when we remove it correctly, guys. So, as I was saying, when I cleared that, I had so much permission. All this new energy flooded through. It was so powerful. And so that really kind of brings me to a current situation that I, was having around next steps with a certain thing. And I was kind of like putting it off, but I knew it wasn't right. And then I knew that something needed to change. Then the other person brought it up first, and it set us on a series of dialogues of like, what are all the best and worst case scenarios around how do we proceed around this thing? And we both had those hard but good but truthful but empowering conversations together and faced it head on. And now we are on the other side of the worst of those conversations, I would say. And it's given us so much clarity and freedom of what to do next. And I knew, kind of just like my beverage company example, that it would be uncomfortable. There is a lot of like, identity shedding of like what's going to come on the other side of this, but it's also removing the stagnation from the resistance to create powerful stuff. And even just in that, and this is an even micro example, that's like kind of what's going on in the last few months of my life. But even a micro example, I host these variety nights of music, comedy, and connection. And this past variety night, like I was so excited to host it because I love combining my coaching with music, with comedy, because it makes it for powerful stuff. And I was in the midst of these negotiations, was one thing. And then another thing is another good friend's comedy show was booked the next night because of just timing of the people she wanted to have booked, both at the same place. And because like the people she wanted to have booked were leaving for the summer, and mine is like music and comedy. And we both love each other, love performing in each other's things. And so, I wasn't mad that hers was booked the next night, but I was like, oh, should I even be having mine? Maybe are they too similar? Like maybe things aren't in flow for me to be having mine. More so just a question around my own stuff. But it's like, oh, but I really love like offering these things to everyone. But maybe I should just do it. But yeah, I was like experiencing kind of like resistance every step of the way, but I decided like I committed to doing the show. So if I committed to it, I'm going to remove whatever resistance is here that's trying to make me second guess, and I'm just going to fully commit. And as soon as I did that, I'm not even kidding you guys, I shit you not, like ticket sales like went from 20 to 55, basically selling out at 60. I ended up getting all of the other comedian acts that I wanted to get. Things ended up working out beautifully. My friend and I both were stretched to do new things in each of our respective shows because we weren't going to be in each other's shows. But we still like borrowed each other's equipment. She borrowed my sound equipment. I got the fortune of getting to use the beautiful stage lights her and her husband set up for their show. I got to use them at my show. So that all ended up working out. And like so many good friends came to my show that I haven't even seen in a while. And it was just so special. And it was just kind of on the other side of resistance, reminding yourself when you like choose not to kind of get in your own way, everything starts flowing. And when you choose to also like commit, like, no, this is how it's going to be, and you take decisive action, that's when things start flowing, right? In the beverage company, when I decided to let it go, gratefully I had permission, from myself, but also from my advisor, things started flowing. With this conversation with this other person, as we made a decision around where to go next, like things started flowing. With the variety show, when I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. Actually, I love doing this. And even if like 20 people show up or 15 people show up or 10 people show up, it's still going to be a great experience for me. Boom, things started flowing. So the lesson, guys, is when we're experiencing resistance, it means you're on the verge of a breakthrough. And how can you remove indecision? How can you continue to act in spite of fear or doubt, so you can get to that freedom on the other side? And so I know you guys might be like, Meredith, this all sounds great, but like, how the fuck do we do this? Don't worry. We're going to get there together. And I also want to add this caveat. You might be like, well, maybe it's resistance because it's my gut telling me that it's not the right thing, that I shouldn't be doing it. And I would ask you, if that is a question that's coming up for you, why is the resistance there? What is the fear there? Are they and usually if you can address the fears, which we're going to do, like you can realize that those are just like kind of excuses from your inner child that are like shouting at you, trying to keep you from expanding into the next version of yourself. Because as we've talked about on Powerful Stuff, we can often fear the next version of ourselves when it feels unknown and uncertain, even if it is powerful, even if it is, exactly what we want to step into next. So it's checking in and being like, is this that I genuinely wouldn't be lit up by this thing happening? Or is it that I'm afraid of this thing happening? And if it's the fear, then it's usually a sign that the greater the resistance, the greater the awakening. Okay, guys. So step one is just noticing, like, where am I having resistance? Noticing what area of your life is that resistance showing up in? And how is it showing up? Why is it showing up? Like, for instance, for me with the beverage company, it's like the resistance is showing up to me, like wanting to push the beverage company forward. The resistance is that like I'm struggling to do the bigger things with it that I know that would make it move forward. The resistance is feeling like I have anxiety getting up every day. The resistance is feeling like I'm kicking the can down the line with the launch date around the beverage company, because they're like, I don't fully, like, once I do set the launch date, it's full steam ahead, right? So just listing out what the resistance is, where it's coming up, and how it's showing up. So like, what are you doing in place of that? Maybe you're procrastinating on your phone. Maybe you're doing a self-destructive behavior. Maybe you're like not responding to something. So firstly, like, how is the resistance showing up, and what are you doing when it's showing up? What are you doing to numb or to distract? Okay. So once you got those two things down, boom, boom. Now I want to ask you, like, instead of numbing, what do you fear would happen if you sat with the resistance? What do you fear that would happen if you did make that change? What are the fears that are coming up around making that change, around letting go of that thing, or around stepping into that thing? How are you afraid, like, it'll shift things? How are you afraid you'll be seen? And just take a moment to, like, let those fears, as always, go to rock bottom. Go to the worst possible fear that could possibly happen, and just sit with that, and let's breathe into that together. And really just dial it up to a 10, breathing into that fear around the resistance, noticing where you feel it in your body, and exhaling it out. And then placing both hands on your body where you feel it, and like on your next breath, and pull it out of your body. And exhale, throw it to the ground and just like stomp your feet on it and just get it out. Getting it all out, guys. Okay. So now that the resistance is out, feeling into the spaciousness and just asking yourself, what's possible on the other side of the resistance? What is possible if I overcome this? Maybe I'll surprise myself. Maybe I'll realize I'm stronger than I thought. Maybe I'll have a completely fresh slate or clean slate to do something else. Let's say the resistance is around a conversation with like a friend you need to like have a tough conversation with or take space from, or a relationship that's not right for you. On the other side of the resistance, I might have time for someone who's even more aligned. I might reinvest in something that I really love doing. Like what are the things that that really make you feel so like excited about the prospect of this change? And then once you've like really written those out, and I don't want you to stop writing them out until you're like, I am so fucking excited for what is on the other side of this resistance, for these possibilities. Then I want you to ask yourself, like, what permission do I need to give myself now? How can I trust myself now? Or what permission do I need to give myself now to start to step into this? What's one little action I can take that is aligned with this? What's one little action I can take that kind of sets this into motion? Okay. So, wow, that is how we overcome resistance. And I just want to celebrate you, because I know resistance is fucking hard. It's really hard to overcome. And I just want you to know that like, it's like the coal being turned into a diamond, like that pressure cooker of that standstill of like everything is happening. Everything is coming together. Because it's about to transform into something beautiful on your behalf. And the only thing you have to do is like not run away from it. It's continue to show up, continue to answer the call, continue to be like, how is this happening for me? So just to recap, we've looked at where is the resistance? How is it showing up? What are you doing to distract? What do you fear will happen if you take action on the resistance? Like, what are those deepest fears? And then what is the greatest possibility on the other side of this resistance? And then finally, what is that action step that you're going to take to get to the other side to set this domino in motion? Okay, guys, we'll seal it all in with a little meditation. Excuse me, a little meditation. So closing your eyes, taking a deep breath in, exhaling it out, and then another deep breath in, and exhaling it out. Third and deepest breath in, feeling your hips sinking to your chair, and exhale. Just notice that space where the resistance was in your body, bringing awareness to it, and then breathing into it, creating more softness in that space. And as you create more softness in that space, just having a dialogue internally with your resistance. Just noticing how it feels, the stagnation, the stuckness, the resistance of these two opposing forces. Just allowing them to exist at one in this place in your body. And asking them, what do they fear? What is this resistance fear? What is it keeping you from? What is the breakthrough that it's keeping you from? Just letting it speak with so much curiosity. And as you imagine resistance being these two opposing forces, and imagine a magical yes and wand, boop, being waved on these two forces, neutralizing them with so much love, imagining them fall down, creating so much space in your inner being, in your inner world. And just getting to see and feel what is on the other side of this resistance. Asking your innermost, highest self to show you, now that the resistance is flattened, the resistance is cleared, what power, what possibility lies on the other side of it. Breathing into this spaciousness. And as you breathe into this spaciousness and see this possibility, asking yourself, your internal self, how overcoming this resistance has made you even more powerful. Asking your inner self to show you viscerally, in an embodied cellular level, how it's made you more powerful, how it's made you more attuned, how it's made you stronger. Thanking your spiritual self, and then just asking your resistance what it needs from you to feel safe, to continue to love it, diffuse it, overcome it. Letting your inner child internally know that your highest self is with you always, and that you're safe to expand beyond this resistance. You're safe to harness it as fuel, catapulting you to the next level, and just feeling that catapult like that rocket booster. Feeling yourself expand to that next level as you take a deep breath in, another sip of air at the top, feeling this next level, channeling, harnessing all of the power, all of the energy from this resistance, feeling it at the crown of your head, and then exhaling it out, sighing it out, feeling it wash this new spaciousness and possibility all over you. From your crown to the tips of your toes, to your fingers, to your nose. And then asking your internal self for that one perfect next step to take in this spaciousness on the other side of that resistance. Thanking yourself, thanking your resistance, feeling safe to overcome it, to alchemize it, taking a deep breath in, exhaling it out, another deep breath in, exhale, coming back into the space, opening your eyes. Wow, guys, we did it. We overcame resistance. We are in the awakening space. I cannot wait to hear how your resistance is alchemized, what you do with it, what your awakening is on the other side. Please let me know. I'm so excited. We have lots of new and exciting and powerful things brewing for you. So I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or the Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more powerful stuff.